Hello, Sanger Bible. My name is Adam Price, and I have the pleasure of coming to you guys this week and talk about the sermon that Pete led on Saturday, as well as the scripture from Philippians 3:17 through 4:1. Kind of talk about what some of my takeaways were and how I am, or at least I'm trying to apply that to my life now. It started off talking about Paul asking the church to look to him as an example, not to others, not to the world, not to worldly things that they might think would make them happy or would give them fulfillment. And then Pete at that point, talked about, who's your core group of friends? Who do you hang out with? Who do you let influence your life? And there's a lot to that. I know in my life and in my walk, it's been that core group of Christian friends that have really helped me progress and learn what it's like to follow Christ. I had a life group for years, and as we got closer, eventually I ended up with a good group of guys who I knew would help hold me accountable, would speak truth into my life, we could discuss issues that we were uncomfortable with, maybe in other settings, and it was at that point that I felt like most of my growth came, and so who your core group is really does influence your interactions, and one thing I was thinking about too is I want to make sure that I am always a positive influence as well, because you don't know that who else in that core group will be looking to you as an example, or you look at everything that's going on out there now, out in the world, and I think having people you can rely on, you can talk to, who will just listen sometimes, or they'll speak truth when you really need it, whether you want to hear it or not, and to know that it's done in love and kindness. That's what having that core group of Christian friends to rely on means to me. And I know at different times of my life, there's been a number of times where I've let other influences turn me into someone that I don't want to be, and that happens too often. And so this week's sermon was a good reminder for me, a good way to recalibrate, get back on track and get focused where I want to be. Pete also talked about mentorship and discipleship, and I have the pleasure of having a friend that I know will call me or text me every Monday, and it really helped guide me on a path to understanding what it means to really be a Christ follower. It's also comforting to know that I've got someone praying for me in my corner, rooting for me as I make that journey. So I would encourage you, if you don't have someone like that, get one. I'm sure there's plenty of people, in the church who would be more than willing to fill that role. It's one of the neat things about, going to Sanger Bible that drew me in right away was the authenticity of everyone at the church. How, everyone there really wants to help and really cares. And, if you walked up to someone and said, "Hey, can I talk?" I don't know too many people that would say no to that. So yeah, that's been a big, and that for me, that's only happened in the last couple months, and that's been a really neat progression for me. Also, in the sermon, Pete talked about discipleship in terms of who are we discipling, and this was a good reality check for me, because brought in that whole kid factor. For me, it's how are you discipling your kids? And I know it's not just in words. We've got our devotions, and we've got our our prayer time together as a family, but they're also watching me. They're watching my actions, And you know, I would love to be like Paul, you know, who says, "Hey, come watch me, you know, do as I do." Like, man, that's someone who's solid in his faith, someone who knows that he's doing the right thing, and I want to be there. My check came immediately after the sermon as I was sitting down with my kids, and we were talking about discipleship, and I asked them, okay, you know, who's discipling you? And they said, well, you know, mom and dad. I said, okay, great. You know, what are some of the things that you're learning? And my 7-year-old says, oh yeah, you're teaching us. And I said, okay, like what have you learned? And he looks at me and says, well, you taught me that if I don't listen to you, that there's consequences. And that was kind of a check for me that, you know, thank goodness, you know, every time I mess up, there aren't, you know, consequences, that I've got a merciful and forgiving God. So this week, I know I'm going to be focusing a lot on giving grace and showing mercy, because no matter what I say, no matter what prayers or devotions we have, they're looking at my example. So I know that's going to be my focus for the week. Thank you for your time, and I'll hopefully see you guys soon.